Okay, this will be a PvP guide, and I'll go over the skill tree and explain what purpose each skill serves. So the flash tree is your main DP debuff, as well as AP buff. Ball Jolt is pretty useless in PvP, is only used to get in a bit of field damage, but generally not very good. Void Lightning is one of your 3 traps, and this should be used off cooldown. This is also an linger that recovers stamina. Summon Heilang. This should be on your hotbar, and you should summon it at the beginning of every duel. Command Attack is the only command you should be using in PvP, and Absorb Heilang is your ebuff, so you should have it on your hotbar. Scratch is one of your best protected CCs. It's a protected stiff, and it's used in conjunction with Tree Climb, and it goes through frontal guards. Whiplash should be locked. Throat Burn is one of your damage skills. It is a protected frontal guard damage. Also has a down smash. Trample does 0 damage, but it does give you the same AP buff that Flash gives you. So you will be using that in your combos every now and then. Lightning of Earth is your main VCC. It's a knockdown, it's unprotected, and it has a minus DP debuff. Surging Tide. So this skill has 2 parts to it. The first part is the knockback, protected knockback, and the second part is the trap that the dog lays down once you use it. There are 2 different traps, and I'll go over that later. Fearful Trembling. This is your SA stun. It's very good. You should be using that off cooldown. Upwards Claw is decent damage, but it's a float, so it's pretty bad. You can't really add it in. You can use it after grab, but generally the skill kind of fell off after they removed the accuracy buff from it. Roaring. This is your highest damage PvP skill, and it's also your 3rd trap. Dark Galore. This is your Magnus. You use it to recover stamina, and you can also use it for damage in a combo. Heilang's Aura. This is your actual ebuff, which is pretty bad, so you should lock it and put it on your hotbar. Moonlight Strike. This is your SA movement skill. And All Around Spinner is okay damage. You mainly use it to recover stamina when you need. That's about it. Soaring Kick. This is your grab. Flurry of Kicks you should lock. Stretch Kick you should lock. And Evasive Attack you should lock. Tree Climb is your movement skill. This is really good. Legendary Lip. You use it. It's not very good, but you kind of have to use it. And the rabams. Horror Slam is better for damage, which is what I use in 1v1, but as soon as it's no longer a 1v1, a 2v2, a 3v3, I swapped Resonance. Here there are no really good options. They're both pretty bad skills, but you cannot take the Legendary Beast Claw. It's unprotected, but you sometimes do need the extra KD in like a 1v2 situation if everything is on cooldown. And Lightning Burn is decent movement skill, but I prefer Burst Spike on your hotbar because it's a really quick KD. So those are the addons that I prefer to run. They're focused around 1v1, but Tamer is a 1v1 class, so no matter what you're doing in this game, when it comes to PvP, you're 1v1ing on the side. You can adjust, in my opinion, the Roaring, Surging Tide, and Fearful, but the Flash, Both Thrust, and Lightning of Earth are core for your combo. The other 3, you can put whatever you want, but I honestly don't like having too much attack speed, because it makes your Magnus really short, and it makes your other frontal guard linger skills really short, so you can't really cover stamina. So the more attack speed you have, the more stamina issues you have. So I don't like having attack speed outside of my combo, obviously, but movement speed is better because it makes your WW faster. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. You can put blades if you want. If you want to put down smash, you could. It helps with your combo sometimes, but I generally don't like it. Okay, I'll go over the essays that you can use to linger. So you have Moonlight, then you have Void Lightning, but the ending animation is unprotected and you can't cancel out of it, so be careful. Fearful, Scratch, and Resonance. Those are your main essay lingers. Then you have Legendary Lip that consumes stamina, and you can also just rotate those. If you want to not burn stamina. I'll go over some of your frontal guards that you should be using. So Spinner recovers your stamina, Shift R&B recovers your stamina, Flash recovers your stamina, Trample recovers your stamina. Surging Tide is a really good linger, but it does not recover your stamina. Okay, now we'll go over movement. So you've got 4 movement skills, those being Moonlight Strike, Evasion, Tree Climb, Legendary Beast Power, and the follow-up Legendary Leap. In order to use Evasion, the most effective on Sack Tamer, you're going to have to change some settings. So WW, mouse button too, or you can put on any mouse button or even a key if it's comfortable for you. But AA and DD, you're kind of forced to put it on A and D, or something that you're comfortable using for your side evasion, because if you input Shift A and Shift D instead of this, there is a gap. There's a gap and you're going to get succeeded in it eventually. So the best suggestion I have is honestly to just get used to this. Takes you like a day or two. But this is the best way to play Sack Tamer. So when you have your weapons out, if you just hold A, you'll just continuously iframe without a gap. Same for D and same for mouse button. Okay, I'll go over movement a bit. So using Tree Climb after Moonlight increases the range of it. So like that. This is how you want to be moving around. And the other skill is Legendary Leap. You don't want to use that as a disengage. If you're engaging on a target and you want to disengage, you need to WW, Tree Climb, WW, and then Moonlight, and then use Legendary Leap. So that way you buy enough distance from your opponent so they won't be able to back attack you. That's pretty much it. The class is pretty simple when it comes to movement. You should just hold A and D, but not too much. Scratch after Tree Climb almost always. That's pretty much about it. Okay, now we'll go over the Heilang traps, and I will start with Void Lightning. So you want to make sure Heilang is summoned and is on command attack. So every time you die, swap servers, do whatever in regards to PvP, you want to summon the dog and click command attack once. Once you click command attack, he will stay on that until you die or despawns. Once he's not set on command attack, you want to make sure he's aggroed on your enemy. In order to get him aggroed, you need to either get hit, your pet needs to get hit, or you need to hit the enemy. So now if I use Void Lightning, he doesn't do anything. He just does the trap in front of me. But if I were to target an enemy with any skill, so for example, let's say I dash into it and I hit it. Now pet is aggroed on this target. So if I now aim at the target and use Void Lightning, he teleports on top of him and stiffs him instantly. This tool is really powerful because it will allow you to get some insanely ranged CCs. So as long as you target, you can use it from really far away, even when you're no longer able to target the target. And if Void is off cooldown, this will stiffen the target. So you'll see now in 2 seconds, you see it stiffed the target from this distance. And this can sometimes, if you're far from the target, the dog can spawn behind the target's frontal guard and CC the target through frontal guard. I'll show some example of that. Also in melee range, if you use this melee range and the target is in frontal guard, this trap is behind the target, so it will CC the target through frontal guard. Okay, I'll now go over the second dog trap, Surging Tide. That skill is split into 3 parts. The first part is the frontal guard knockback, which is really good into classes with micro gaps, like Sack Sork, or Sork in general, Tamer, DK, Ninja, Awake Sage. You'll get catches with this pretty often. The second part is the two different dog traps the dog can put when you use the skill. He can either do the ranged attack or the howling attack. The howling attack will happen if there is no target for the pet. So right now the pet has no target because I haven't hit anything. So if I use Surging Tide, it will always do howling. But if I am aggroed on an enemy and I iframe before I use the skill and I use Surging, it will always do range attack. Sometimes it teleports to the target, sometimes it doesn't. It usually does. So if I use it now again, it teleports and it does Surging Tide, the range attack, which is really powerful. I will show you some clips. It's, my opinion, the best skill in Tamer's kit, and you'll see why now. Okay, I'll now go over the third dog trap, and that's being roaring. This is one of the better dog traps we have, because this is an SA skill, and you can use it to SA trade. And if you do use it to SA trade, and the class is in front of you, in frontal guard, it will go through frontal guard. So if, like, for example, a DK is in front of you using frontal guard skills to try and CC you, and you use roaring on top of the target or like really close to it, the dog will spawn behind it and will stiffen the target. So it's an insta stiff, so it's pretty much a protected stiff, protected as a stiff, and you can also use it as a range tool. So you can use it from distance if you wanted to get stiffs, similar to Void Lightning. I usually don't do this because it's much better to use it as an SA damage skill, but the option is there, and sometimes you do end up using it. But normally just better to like moonlight on top of the target and then use it, and you'll catch some people with it pretty often. Okay, I'll go over the Heilang CCs and how you should follow up on them. Your main two CCs to follow up on a stiff is Lightning of Earth and Breast Spike, but Breast Spike is used way more often because it's way faster. So Lightning of Earth has range, but Breast Spike is quicker, and Breast Spike is what you should use most of the time to follow up on CCs. So if I spawn a dog trap here, then I see my target got stiffed, I would use a knockdown. Then I would my combo, and I would use Lightning of Earth to re-CC. If you get a CC from longer away, so I'll try to get a stiff from longer away. Yeah, so what I did there is I got a range stiff from here. No skills that I can do would follow up in time to VCC him within that stiff. So I tree climbed into scratch for a second stiff, and then I did burst spike. This is a worse combo, but it is the only way you can follow up on a one stiff. Because you can't follow up on grabs from this far because of the grab animation. They get capped because of the dog trap. That is the other thing you have to worry about. If the target has been in the dog trap for too long, you might not be able to combo. So if you didn't notice in time, the target is already capped. And sometimes if you're not paying attention and you F from the ground, then you Magnus, and the target is, you can't really do anything to the target anymore. Or if you for example, used Void Lightning, you didn't pay attention that the target is stiff, and you use Scratch, the target is capped. So when you are combing the target, you have to pay attention if they are getting VCC'd or not and react to it in time, because the dog will fuck up your combo pretty often. It's really annoying, but it happens. You just have to pay really close attention, because the pet will cap if you aren't following up on the CC really quick. Okay, I'll now go over the combo. So the longest possible combo you can do on Tamer is grab, flash, bolt jolt, but only one hit of jolt, then surging tide, then trample, then lightning of earth, then roaring, then throat burn, then dark galore, then whichever rabam you have. I prefer Heilang for 1v1 like I said before, because it has a down smash, and then fearful, which looks like this. The other combo is the same one, but you skip out on the bolt jolt, surging tide, and on the trample. So it's a shorter combo, but this will allow you to use this combo if you reacted to a stiff. So for example, if I stiff the target, then I do this combo, it works. Okay, now go over the combo you should be using if you get a stiff catch with a pet. This is more so like a freestyle combo, but it is pretty much the same combo to use all the time. You're going to stiff the target with a pet, and then VCC with burst spike or lightning of earth. Then you're going to do flash into trample into the other CC. So if you use lightning of earth, you're going to use burst spike. If you use burst spike, you're going to use lightning of earth. And if both are on cooldown, which can happen, you will use legendary beast claw. And then after the VCC, you'll just do the generic roaring into throat burn, into dark galore, into rabam, into fearful. So let me put the trap down. So stiff, flash, lightning of earth, roaring, throat burn, dark galore, rabam, fearful. You can extend those combos a bit if you wanted to with a bit of bolt jolt or surging tide in the middle, because there is enough time. So if you get a stiff catch, then you can do this. Just for a bit extra damage. But generally, your main combos are KD, debuff, KD, damage. I will now go over each protected CC, and I will show clips of how it should be used in PvP. We'll start with Scratch. Next, we'll take a look at Surging Tide, both the knockback and the Heilang flow. Now we'll take a look at Fearful Trampling. This skill is best used against classes with block jumps. Okay, I'll go over my crystal page and lightstones. I have 3 sets that I tend to run. I either run full blast AP, so those are like RBF Vipers, Karmia, Red Spirits, and 1 power with Maka loads. This is when I need to fight DR targets like Valks, Warriors, Zerkers, something with a lot of HP and a lot of DR. When I run this page, I almost always run magic AP artifacts with human damage. Also, this is purely for 1v1. This is my more preferred crystal setup. I run this for Arsha, for 1v1s against most classes that I can still 1-combo while wearing this setup. So like a Sork, like a meagu, like a Wusa, deadeye. This is very important against deadeyes, else you will just die standing. Sages and hashes. And when I run this setup, I run daycare artifacts with Rigitude. And my third set is PVP accuracy. This has Elcars and has Jin Vipers, and it has bone accuracy. On this account I only have 1, but you should have up to 3. Ideally Jin as well, but I'm Gearlet on this account. And when I run this setup, if that setup isn't enough to 1-combo my target, I will swap to magic accuracy with Sweep. You can also run the generic crystal page, but I'm not a fan of it. This is the generic that 90% of people run. It's human damage with double bitterness, max HP, and they run that with Deki artifacts. This is like a decent all-arounder. The issue with the reason why I don't like the setup is because Tamer is too squishy to pull this off and still like be reasonably tanky. I feel like every time I run this setup, I'm either overkilling my target or I just don't have enough tankiness. So then I have to go either full tank or full blast. That's why I have multiple crystal pages and multiple artifact setup. Though outside of 1v1, I almost always run this setup, but that doesn't really exist anymore. So from mainly in 1v1, I swap my pages around pretty often. Sometimes I even go this setup. I'll remove the dark red fang armor, I'll put Elcors, and I'll put 1 bone accuracy. So like every matchup is different, and you kind of have to adjust your crystals based on the matchup. In between kills, if you like die, you like when you respawn, you have time, you can readjust your crystals. And yeah, that's pretty much it. For evasion, it's different. I don't really have an evasion set crystal page, but you most likely only run this, but with just Harfias without Hums. I'm pretty sure Hums are pretty bad for DR or evasion. But for Tamer, I feel like for 1v1 they're needed to stay alive. I will now go over something I said earlier about preferring a tankier setup. I'll show a handful of clips where Heilang saves me from being killed because I am so tanky, so people need full combos to kill me. It works best against classes that have gaps in their combo or frontal guards in their combo. So like classes like Gauntlet wouldn't really matter, but that is another reason why I prefer running tankier setups. And lastly, I have two clips of a 1v2 and a 2v2 to give you a better idea of how you should play group PvP. Usually, not much you can do. You could throw unprotected very CC, or you could just stay protected and do as much damage as you can and play for grabs. But realistically, in anything outside of 1v1, you should try to isolate into a 1v1. Sometimes you can't, so you're just gonna be forced to rotate protected CCs and try to kill them and risk an unprotected bear spike. And that's pretty much it.